the opposite is, how do you intend on balancing keeping the society's image and getting as many people engaged as possible, especially as we were talking third, fourth year? Yes, that's.
I guess it's kind of the social officer's job, isn't it? It relates with the social officer, but I'll do my best to create the best poster or to create the best artwork or doing the best write-up. But I think it's social officer's job to target the audience of my work, basically. That's fine.
Okay. Anyone else has a question?
Of course. Well, firstly, I've got a little bit of a statement. I hope it's okay. But, I think all of you have done a really good job of, presenting yourselves and answering questions. And it does seem that whoever gets voted in, we're going to have a good committee next year. But I would also want to say, if you are voted in, don't forget about what the people standing either side of you tonight were saying, because they also had some really good ideas, and it would be probably a good idea to talk to them and say, you have some great ideas, I would really like to implement them. And I've got a publicity question. This year, it seemed that the main way of interacting with the society members was through Facebook. And I think while functional, it's certainly not ideal, because the way Facebook works is it's with, it's got an algorithm. You can't guarantee that people will see it. Not everybody goes on Facebook all the time, and not everybody. Some people follow so much stuff that they can't check everything on Facebook. So, are there any ways, any sort of parallel ways that you can use to get in contact with people?
Yeah, you're definitely right about Facebook, and I agree with you, because yes, Facebook is the and another thing is Facebook is how majority of us communicates with other people in UCL, and that is another thing. But you're definitely right. Some demography of our department are not accessing to UCL. Actually, when I go back to China, I have zero access to Facebook at all. So I guess we can use the. I think someone mentioned the website for event horizon. I think that is a good idea, which will also require a lot of work from both publicity officer and other parts of event horizon. And we can also use Twitter. Do we have an event horizon page on Twitter?
YouTube channel.
Okay.
YouTube channel.
Yeah, the play is on there.
YouTube channel.
The play.
That's a good point.
Yeah, there are a lot of potential things we can do for publicity.
My question for you.
I just want to say that we have a newsletter, and that.
Yeah, I was going to say that we have newsletters now, and that has all the information on. So even if you don't have Facebook, you actually get the exact same amount of information.
Yeah.
And there's nowhere in the world you can access.
Yeah, and that's why we made the newsletter.
Exactly. So that's not something you need to worry about.
Okay, I have a question. It's to the president, the people who are running for president. So it's kind of like John's and Gavin's question, but directed to you, and a bit more realistic. No, I love your question. So, if you're a president, in the end of the day, every single event is your responsibility. So if it goes wrong, you're responsible, even if you had nothing to do with the organization of it. But you have to go on fixing it. So we didn't, fortunately, have any situations where a speaker would actually drop out. But I'll give you an actual situation that happened to us. Is that during the conference, one of the key presentations was to be delivered by a PhD admission tutor. And so there were two. One of them was from UCL, one from Imperial. The day or two before, Anyway, so 1.5 days before, the PhD admission tutor from Imperial drops out. What do you do? And it's like it's in the middle of the conference, it's the main event that people are actually attracted to, they want to know more about careers. How do you go about What do you do?
What's the context? This was at the conference.
Oh,
So there's an event where we have 2 people speaking, and then one people were going to talk about PhD admissions, and then one of them drops out the day before. So what can you?
And he's from Imperial, so one have UCL speaker. So it's not as if, well, actually, I want to hear your thoughts on what do you think about the situation, how would you deal with the situation. Remember, you're also working with a different committee from Imperial as well.
Who's able to go first?
Martin.
Of course. Well, obviously, if you get the news one day before the conference, you can't. Well, you can do some things, but you can't get a new speaker. You can't always get a new speaker. But basically, what I would try to do is find someone, because he's probably not working alone in Imperial. I mean, he probably has some people working with him. I'll try to get a hold of them, and also because we're working with Imperial's committee, I'll talk to them because it's they would know more about it. But still, you should probably inform the UCL speaker, and because it's he's talking about careers, it's not going to be just UCL based lecture. So he should be able to say some of the things the other speaker would have said, but basically try to find someone who is also who knows what's going on. So.
If it's one day, then you can't do anything by email because they're definitely not going to respond. So you're actually going to have to haul your ass to Imperial and actually talk to people. The second thing, like that, ideally you'd have your speaker here as as the thing that you have. But the speaker's gone and people are coming because it's admissions and because it's Imperial. They definitely have relevant documents or anything he uses in his talks because it doesn't just come straight out of his head. So there have to be some backing documents behind that, and as Martin said, there have to be some people behind him as well. So go there, find anything you can get out of it, and as well as that, I don't really see the point in going to a King's admissions tutor, not because it's King, but because if they're going there for an Imperial admissions, then there's no point bringing someone from King's. So
Why not? Did you say admissions?
who said why not?
PhD admissions, yeah.
There is.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
But I guess if they're applying to the general admissions, but if they're coming to the talk just for Imperial, then I don't know. I have mixed feelings about that. But I guess it'd be better than nothing. As in it would be the next stage down. I'm not saying
King's like
It's King's, it's fine.
Alternatively, do chemistry.
So
That's not fine.
So just try to handle it as best you can and go the next best thing you can get. And inform the people.
Okay, so I'm not going to sit here and repeat everything the guys have said because they gave very similar answers. I think the most important part would be to get in touch with the Imperial Committee straight away, figure out options, and then obviously because it's their speaker, they're at the university, they have more access, but keep in contact with them at all times and just keep going down and try and get more and more people. And I think something that was mentioned, but as a last resort, is even attempt to get PhD students who have had experience of the admission system. That could be a last resort because they can give first-hand experience and can be very honest about it. So I think that's quite a good idea on top of what the guys have said.
Yeah. More questions?
I have a question. Just like a quick survey. During the year, there was some fairly technical things that needed to be done. Like there was some programming done in the kickoff, and I'm just want to see what kind of skills are in terms of technical stuff. So web programming, is there any, if you could raise your hand, if you at least one. Okay, so you have two, one and a half, two. Okay. There's also for the brochure, for example, there was a lot of work with InDesign. That's not something I was aware of before, but I got used to it. So I don't know. If you can raise your hand, if you at least would be willing to do something like that. Of course, that's not necessarily, of course, completely opposite is ideal, but that's not always the case. Yeah, okay. Yeah. And then...
Everyone's willing to.
Yeah, well, I mean, no, it's fairly technical.
But I had this in the back of mind because you're really good with coding and like you're setting up the website. But in the future years to come, like there might not be, but there's definitely going to be someone in physics who's good at coding. So why should there be an IT?
Right. Yeah, that's a follow-up question because it might for the kickoff we did most of the work, but do you guys have any ideas on how maybe to utilize just other physicists for that kind of project? Like I'm talking specifically about like infrastructure, I guess, because it would have helped a lot for us, for example, if we could have like created like a committee just for that.
I have an idea. We can utilise Alex Nico Katz, who is the most brilliant person. He's not here at the moment, but he's brilliant. Everything, coding, definitely utilise Alex.
Yeah.
Why is he not running?
Can't be asked.
He's a free spirit.
He can't be tamed.
Yeah, for something like the kickoff where like you want to have a lot of people working on it, I think it'll be just best to make a committee. Like for like in our school we had a similar situation, like where prom was the one big event. It was like 250 people, it was so much work, but like we had a specific committee for parts of it, like handing out awards and stuff, and that was really effective because that way it took the burden off, you know, some of us who had like to do most of the work anyway. So I think that would be really useful.
And it's not just the kickoff, there's other events at the beginning of the year because you want to get more members in and like to people to get to know each other. So the committee can be doing, well, they can be doing all the work, but we saw how stressed you guys were on, and it was like, it's also the start of the year, you need to you know, go through your lectures, see what's going on and stuff like that. So we need some help probably. And you guys have been so involved this year, maybe you can give us some tips and stuff like that, and if you guys want to participate or like, you know, because this year for the kickoff there were people at the challenges that weren't part of the committee, but they were there to just like keep score and stuff like that. So we'll need a lot of volunteers for that as well. And also it's in the beginning of the year, so during the summer we'll have to organize it, or most of it, basically give the roles to all the people, because we can't do it in a week when we start.
Can I say something else in response to that? When I was in the committee 2 years ago, I suggested that we had a first year rep, which was Anna, before she was president, and basically this was just so that we integrate them at the beginning of the year, and then it's just really, really handy because obviously we can organise events for the freshers, but every single year group's different. So like my year group is completely different to the second year group, which is different to the first years. Like you all want different things. So my year don't really want to go clubbing. Your year prefer like karaoke, and maybe the first year do like clubbing and they like watching movies or whatever. So we could reintroduce that, and even though it's only one person, it really does make a difference because it gives us an insight that we can't have otherwise. So we could reintroduce that, and then you just like that at the beginning of term within the first week, and that's quite a lot of help. You could always do that.
It's primarily directed towards the academic candidates. Something which appears to be, well, with students taking more interest in, especially as they're going to the third and, well, primarily in the third year, I would say, but also fourth year to an extent, they have, and I heard from staff as well, that there's interest in getting summer research projects in UCL. I am interested, a number of third years are interested in doing this. However, UCL has no real facility for this, well, whatsoever. Basically, it's entirely up to the student to go and ask them and so on, and they may miss things which are unaware. Many of you have spoken about trying to get third and fourth years more involved. Perhaps, is there anything in this particular direction you guys think you'd be able to do, or have as ideas? Or if not, then is it something you'll be willing to think about? Okay, sure.
Yeah, I can answer. Well, I can give a full answer. Well, the best that we can do is we can say that we can do our best to communicate to the department that we want this sort of thing, and talk to other years, and yeah, just ask around. But I don't know what other action you'd like us to take. But I mean, either of us, I guess, would be willing to take advice or any other options people want and listen to it and act accordingly, but I don't know.
Okay, so
I kind of didn't really have time to speak about this just now when I was on the speech, but
basically, as I mentioned, I feel that personally, the reason that UCL is probably, we've got like the best research kind of culture, and it's the one thing that value adds the most to our degree compared to other physics undergraduate courses or master's courses in London. And I think from, like personally, if we're while continuing our lab tours, we can talk to like the research labs, see if they have any potential openings, any potential like contacts that they can talk to, if with regards to whatever they're doing with their research. Maybe they need like someone to kind of like intern or work on a part of their project, just put in man hours and stuff like that. And by interacting with the researchers, by doing, I don't know, cafe scientifics with the researchers or lecturers who are talking about their own area expertise, we can get a rough idea of basically a feel for what they want, or if there are any openings for third, fourth year students who potentially want to do further extensions in summer, or as kind of like to work alongside the academic staff at UCL, things along those lines. It also could kind of extend into kind of PhD or like further academic or academia options and things along those lines. Yes.
Sorry, one thing. I mean, we could also be looking at other universities or other placements, not just at a university, but other institutes. I mean, there are other institutes around the London Institute of Physics, or I don't know if they do things like that, or National Physical Laboratory, or things like that, where you can have placements and we can have.
That's generally true, but especially with other universities, they prefer to generally take their own students.
Yeah. Okay.
It's almost as a rule.
Okay. Well, yeah, but then there are other institutes which aren't universities as well, which you could look at and advertise them on the on I don't know, the website or social media to let people have the opportunity to apply for them.
So you're saying there's no framework right now for any of the third years or fourth years to do anything of the sort with researchers right now?
Well, currently the only way which any student can get something of the sort is go to the literally find some, look online. If there's somebody who's particularly interested in, go and ask them and talk to them about it.
But
There are actually scholarships in CLD.
It depends. Yes, but they take very, very small number. I mean, HEP I think is the most organised system, but again, it's a very small number of students of undergraduate schools.
There is an email address that you can send emails to regarding internships.
The problem is that with more people. There's no way for individual staff to communicate. They have something.
Discuss this in the pub. Yeah, that's a good idea. So now,
Okay. So, sorry. One more question to those people who mentioned the study groups or like support for students, because that's something I really wanted to do this year and didn't work. But in the third year, there was this student who tried to do it throughout the whole year and keep advertising from like September, and like every week or so he was asking whoever wants to please tell me, I want to help, and like nobody was responding, or the responses were like funny jokes. It's just, I feel it's like so great idea, but how would you make people to participate or take this opportunity?
So I'm thinking you need to get the word out there and address sort of similar, and you give details of what you're going to do, because I think with more details people are thinking, oh okay, I'm struggling this bit, rather than being very general and saying, and rather than just asking, do you need help, because that could that's a very broad question, and I think that people don't really know what they need unless you specify a problem for them to identify, in which they'll say, okay, I need help in this area, therefore I should approach him about this, and I could suggest that we do certain problem sheets, or he could tell us about whatever problem we have and try to re-explain it in a way that we wouldn't otherwise hear about in lectures. Just to be more specific in this.
Yeah, I think it's a bit different when it's just one person, posting from time to time, saying if anyone needs help, rather than the actual society, publicising it and getting people on board, like multiple people to, branch out and form study groups or just one-to-one help. And yeah, I think it does make a difference if it's an official society thing. So we'll help.
Yeah.
No, I was just going to say, yeah, I mean, if there's one thing you can get everyone to ask to talk about, you can go to the lectures, I mean, and you can just go up and stand and say, we got someone here, I mean, we do some advertising for them, to everyone, and that's, I guess, the best place where you can do it. And yeah, I guess that would be the best place to advertise if you really want to do something.
Personally, I don't think like a weekly thing is that ideal in terms of, because week to week, we do cover things, but the amount of content that we really do on a weekly basis may not warrant a full sit down. So I personally think maybe fortnightly or maybe even every half term.
Kind of just review.
Yeah,
materials.
just like a good review of material, get people, you know, like a proper session. Because a lot of times people aren't sure about just specific things. I mean, like for example, the one thing everybody hates, class Mac. It's not one long continuous topic where each portion builds up on another portion. It's little segmented here and there, and it's not as if everybody doesn't know everything for every week. So if we have like a half-term thing and people start, you know, just do like maybe a long session, 4 hours, drop in anytime you want, we like publicize like a schedule, like, oh, in the first hour we'll start with like vectors or something like that, and then something else in circular motion, things along those lines. And people can just come in and just, you know, have a gander at it, and then drop out when, like, just pop out when they feel, oh, this is a bit where I'm done. I think this explains enough, and that would probably be more efficient than a weekly session where you maybe have 5 people at best turn up, and some weeks just nothing.
And then at the end of each session, you can have you can let people give feedback and say what they want to improve about the sessions and what they want more out of the sessions, and then this can help to build up the sessions and make it better and better.
I think a good way to start is, obviously Maher did a poll, what would you like most help with, but if we actually had a system where people would just go on a form and sign up, oh, I want to be at this session to learn this, and we have super eager 3rd and 4th years ready to teach it, I think that could work very harmoniously. And like Shin said, if we advertise it as a society and say, okay, we have these sessions, we're going to address these problems, please sign up, so that we don't have also too many people, I think that would work very well.
I think the method Paula was talking about, we need to do something about it, because for a lot of them, when they go oh, what would you like to do? And then every student responds with what they want, and then you try to become too much of a people pleaser and try to go for too many. You need to have specified things, it should be the students going to them instead of them going to us and asking what we want. We should be going to them and signing up for the things we want. Because otherwise I think that gets too disorganized, and just, I think that would be the best first step. And also, one of the things was, you said that we're not UCLU, so we have issues with booking spaces, right?
Yeah, so that's the other thing you would have to think about for your study groups, that we can book, for example, this room, but we cannot go for, for example, rooms where the tutorials are held. Those are inaccessible for us. So you would have to think of a space for your study sessions.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for your patience, especially you guys. So, closing the AGM here. Thank you, everyone, for coming. And now we're going to go to Phineas for a drink. Please join us there.
Can you find out what happened at the Christmas?
We will tell you in Phineas.
We'll tell you every single detail.
Bye, Phineas.